like Cassie Ventura and the other woman, Jane.
Those specific
Yeah.
allegations.
I'll cross state lines for, well, for sex. And that's a felony, right? Under this old law, the Mann Act.
Correct. Federal felony. It's from way back, 1910, aimed at transporting people across states for immoral purposes, which includes prostitution here.
And what does this mean practically? Potential prison time.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking potentially up to a decade behind bars for these specific convictions.
Wow. Okay. And he's been in custody this whole time.
Yep. Held at the MDC in Brooklyn since his arrest back in September 2024. They denied him bail.
Right.
So now his legal team is pushing to get him released on bond while they wait for sentencing.
Got it. Now, during the trial itself, the prosecution, they laid out this big racketeering conspiracy case, right? Spanning from like 2008 to 2024.
That was the core of their argument for the most serious charges, yes.
And just so we're clear, racketeering conspiracy means basically running an ongoing criminal operation.
Essentially, yes. A pattern of illegal activities.
Hmm.
They listed things like sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, even arson, bribery, obstruction of justice.
A whole list. What kind of evidence or testimony did they use for that?
Well, a lot revolved around testimony about these alleged freak-offs or hotel nights.
Right. I remember reading about those.
Described as these pretty elaborate, drug-fueled sexual events that Combs allegedly set up.
Involving victims and male sex workers.
According to the testimony, yes. The prosecution tried to connect these events to that larger racketeering pattern.
And Cassie Ventura's testimony was obviously huge, saying he beat her, forced her into sex with others.
Very powerful testimony. And they showed that 2016 hotel video of the assault.
Yeah, that video was everywhere. Jane also testified.
She did.
So with all that, the testimony, the video, how did the defense manage to get acquittals on the sex trafficking and racketeering charges? What was their strategy?
It's a really good question. Their main line of argument was that the prosecution was, let's say, exaggerating.
Exaggerating how?
Taking evidence of what the defense called a swinger lifestyle, recreational drug use, and try to twist it into this massive federal case.
Okay.
They argued the women involved were, for the most part, willing participants in the lifestyle, the consensual activities.
And the violence, like the Cassie assault.
They essentially argued that while specific acts of violence might be crimes on their own, they didn't automatically meet the very specific legal definition for federal sex trafficking, which again requires proving that force, fraud, or coercion was used for the purpose of trafficking.
So distinguishing between assault and the elements needed for the trafficking charge itself.
Precisely. They argued the prosecution hadn't met that high bar for the most serious charges.
Well, this verdict is definitely a major moment. It really draws a line, doesn't it, between different kinds of legal responsibility.
It absolutely highlights how complex these